Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
It's so epic every single time.
I feel so
I just feel like, exactly. Don't you feel important just because like you get this fanfare? It's amazing.
It just puts you in a good mood.
It does, yeah, it totally does.
Like put medals on us,
right? I know. Yes. Come on, that'd be amazing. We gotta sort that out sometime. Hello, AfterBuzz TV and Star Wars Rebels fans. Welcome to the Star Wars Rebels After Show, Season 2, Episode 3. There are always two. Right? Yep, yeah. That's it. I mean, it's a good description of what happened in the episode.
Two, there always
are. There's always two. Yep, there always are.
Math checks out.
It does. It really does. If you guys have not done so already, please be sure to head over to iTunes, subscribe, leave us a rating, leave us a review. We love hearing from you guys. Also, if you are listening on iTunes, remember you can always go over to YouTube as well and watch our video feed. You can subscribe there and give us a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments. Also, we are following that hashtag ABTV Rebels, and you can use that during the show and throughout the week to stay in touch with us. Thank you so much, guys, for bearing with us for doing the show on a slightly different day than we normally do. We'll be back at our normal time last week, but Megan and I were on the red carpet last night for Ash vs. Evil Dead. Speaking of which, I'm Emma Fyffe. I am your host. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Emma Fyffe. I am joined by a fabulous panel today, a mainstay here at AfterBuzz TV and on the Star Wars Rebels After Show. We have Miss Megan Salinas.
Hey guys, you can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguan.
And we are very excited to have a guest host with us tonight from Legion of Leia. She does all things Rebels. Over there, we have Sabina Ibarra.
Hi, everyone. You can find me on Twitter at Wicked_Phoenix or at Legion of Leia, which is at Legion of Leia. And you can also subscribe to us on iTunes now. Which
you guys are doing a podcast now. That's fantastic. I write for Legion of Leia sometimes, but I haven't been on the podcast yet. Someday.
You need to.
Yeah, I totally want to.
So much fun.
Awesome. So before we get into the episode, I just want to ask you, Sabina, because I think this is something that Megan and I agree on. It's something that was brought up. So I was just on an episode of Jedi Alliance, which was so much fun, and we talked about Star Wars Rebels, and one of the things that we brought up was that it's one of the first Star Wars things that I've been really, really excited about in a long time. So, Sabina, I just want to sort of get your general thoughts on the series before we get into this episode.
Oh my goodness. I was really excited when it was announced. I cried a little when I found out that the character in it would be named Sabine.
I know! I was like, I have a feeling that like during the show today, I'm going to accidentally call her Sabina because like you're right in front of me.
Yeah, it's actually, when I write my recaps for Legion of Leia, there is not a week that goes by that I have to like correct my own name.
Right, exactly.
I'll type out Sabina and then like, wait, no, it's not me, Sabine.
When I first heard you were coming on, I was like, we got Sabine? That's so
yeah. The actual, it's pretty amazing considering she's an animated character, but...
Actually, yes, on the podcast, Anastasia identifies as Sith and Jenna as like a rebel, and I'm like, I'm a Mandalorian bounty hunter.
Of course you are, naturally.
Yes, high five.
Yeah.
So you were excited that there was a character named Sabine, very close to your own name.
Totally close to my own name, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's just like almost Sabina, and I feel like I have a little bit of Star Wars cred now.
Yeah, totally. Well, and so basically you were going into this series watching it, and it already had you won over simply based on the name of the character.
Yes, and then I just feel like we're getting all these like small little glimpses into stuff that's coming up.
Yeah, I totally agree. I completely agree with you. And I just, there was something for me about this series that feels like the original trilogy, you know? Because it's like these...
You just, like, get smacked by nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like, the first few episodes, I was just like, these aren't tears.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I'm crying.
Well, and this season, I know that, like, because this season is a little bit darker, I feel like a little kid again.
Yeah.
But not, like, in the, adventure, in, like, the idea that the dark side is this big, menacing,
oh my
terrifying
gosh,
thing.
so scary. I totally agree with you. Well, let's talk about that, because let's talk about this episode, because, oh man, did we see some dark side presence.
Yes.
Thoughts overall?
I was really pleased, considering that this, it's the week of Halloween.
Right.
I thought this was like the perfect time to air this episode. Not knowing anything else that comes out this season.
Right.
This was like the perfect time to air this episode, because this was very reminiscent of like Alien.
Yes,
into the
it has a trope in the abandoned ship in space.
I know.
Creepy corridors.
Absolutely love that trope as well. Yeah. And as you say, it was very Aliens.
Event Horizon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That episode of Tenchi Muyo that was.
Or the episode of Rick and Morty.
Exactly, yeah. It worked so well as a Halloween, quote-unquote, episode, because it is something that we've seen a lot in especially the sort of science fiction horror genre. And because basically the main plot of the episode involved them going to this abandoned base that Rex had given them the coordinates for in search of medical supplies. Ezra was not assigned to this mission, but he decided to invite himself along.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was hilarious because Rex and Kanan were arguing over some of his training.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting with, like, all the digs that they were giving each other.
I agree.
Over discipline. Like, oh, well, I mean, it seems like the issue isn't with his discipline, it's with yours. I mean, did you even learn to have discipline? I was like,
yes.
Whoa.
I know.
Was it me, or, like, when you pointed that out, I did think to myself, I was like, wow, everyone was really passive-aggressive this episode. Because everybody, Callus, the Inquisitors, were all taking digs at each other for some reason. I don't quite get it.
Or, like, even the digs were kind of references to the original trilogy. It's like, oh, it's just a glorified trash can.
Yes! Oh my gosh, I loved that so much.
Or did he get another disturbance?
Yes.
I was like, great, this is amazing.
Yep. Well, it was interesting, too, because, I mean, for the past couple of episodes, Captain Rex has been really, really in focus, and of course, he is a character who is a carryover from the Clone Wars, and so it was kind of nice, I think, in some ways, to see him be more out of, because he's really only in the beginning and the end of the episode in this episode, so it was kind of nice to see him come out of focus a little bit and bring some of the Rebels mainstays back into focus here, particularly Zeb. This was a really great episode for him, I thought.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, because I know we talked about this last time, but I know that for a lot of Rebels fans, they were kind of concerned that bringing in members from Clone Wars, that it was gonna become the Clone Wars show.
Yeah, oh, completely.
And so it's nice that, like, our main group is still our main group, even if the dynamics are shifting and developing and evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. So they take one of the subsidiary pods from Ghost down to this base that they've gotten the coordinates for, which fortunately Rex had codes to get into, which do work. Yay. They get in there. There's no power. Thank goodness. We've got Zeb along because he's got brute strength. So he just busts open that door and we go in there searching for the medical supplies. And basically, they find what's left of the main console. Chopper powers it up and then they all sort of split up to search for the medical supplies.
Classic scary movie.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, yes. Although there was that also that part where they like start messing around and Sabine's like the older sister.
Yeah.
And they talk over some things. It's funny because then Ezra's like, oh, that's why you have to learn to keep your head down. And he goes smack right into the pole.
Oh my gosh, that was there was some really, really good comedy as the search was starting here, because basically, Zeb and Ezra always kind of push each other's buttons a little bit, and so they were gonna, race to find these medical supplies, and Ezra used the Force to throw some crates onto Zeb's head as he was running by, and then of course good karma, man. It gets you.
But I did definitely set a really good callback that comes back later on.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I did like that. It also never gets too mean-spirited. It does feel like more of like family tussling than it does like, because kids can get mean, and I like that it feels like family.
Well, and especially on a kid's show, it's nice to see sort of family-friendly arguments, and it's not really them being mean to each other for the sake of being mean to each other. You know what I mean by that? Because I think that's something that Rebels does incredibly well, is because it is a kids show, technically, that it really teaches good lessons and has good interaction between the characters that's justified and character driven and isn't just argument for the sake of argument because it's funny or something like that. Yes, so let's talk about probe droids. Are they just everywhere?
No, yeah.
I know.
Like, because we were talking about it, and this probe droid was hanging out at this abandoned, derelict base, and, it wasn't until they got the power surge that the other Inquisitor decided to show up, but this probe was already there. So
Yeah.
does she just have probe
Probes
droids,
everywhere?
like, all over the galaxy, just
Her
on
pets.
the off
Is she like
chance?
instead of a cat lady? Is
Right,
she
she's like a probe lady.
Well, it was super creepy seeing her walk down the hall and having 3 droids.
Yeah.
Yes.
just
Floating
hopping
around her.
I
Or
know.
like when she stopped someone with a force and then they drag him away.
Yeah.
It was so creepy.
Well, there was a probe droid on Celos too, so I'm like feeling like maybe the Empire just has eyes everywhere. They're just all over the galaxy. You know?
They're stepping up their surveillance game,
Listen,
I
when you're
guess.
trying to run an evil empire, like you got to think about it a little bit. Like it's not just going to happen if you're not constantly keeping tabs on what's going on in your galaxy.
I want to be at that meeting though. That like, where should we send out our probe droids? there. That looks good. That derelict, godforsaken bit that's probably
Right.
haunted. That's a good place to send a droid, right?
Yeah, totally. But ultimately, via these probe droids and the power surge, which of course happened when they powered up the base so that they could, go try to find the medical supplies, attracts the attention of a couple of shifty characters. At the end of the last episode, we met another Inquisitor, the 5th brother, and though they haven't actually said his name, it's all over the internet.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to refer to him as that because I know what his
5th
name
brother.
is. And then we meet another Inquisitor in this episode, hence there are always 2, the 7th sister, who... Holy moly. I freaked out when I saw her in the trailer last
Yes.
week. And her appearance in this episode, I mean, Megan and Sabina were both there. They can attest to the fact that, so there's like a probe droid. It was, the way they set up the shot was so
Yes.
good. So there's like a probe droid, and then it like crawls up her arm, and you just hear her speak, and the light comes up on her, and I jumped. I was like, oh my gosh, so amazing.
Well, and it was just really creepy, just because her voice modulator is real
and her
weird.
mannerisms. She has like the claws going on, and
I do want to ask, what did you guys think of like these 2 character designs?
The design, her design in particular, I just
Oh, yes.
love. I mean, we'd seen some stills of her character design, and we got a little preview of it in the episode last week, but
that outfit.
so good.
So good.
I mean, bad guys get way better outfits than good
Just
guys.
black on black on black. And it's just-
Well, and even the 5th brother, his eyes,
Mm-hmm.
it's like looking into the stars, like, and then he like does that side blinky thing like they did in Men in Black. It's so creepy.
well, it's really cool because you have the sense that there's now this subgroup.
Yes.
And they're not, I guess, Sith, but they have just like Sith sensibilities. Like,
Yeah.
their eyes are just all yellow, and it makes you wonder, like, what is counting as Jedis and Sith now? Because we are gonna, I mean, this is Rebels. It's gonna build up eventually to that statement that Yoda says in Empire where he's like, you're the only Jedi, Luke. And I'm like, well, what does that mean for all these characters that we love on the show?
I mean, yeah, it means that if they get a happy ending at all, it'll only be happy for them.
Yeah. and something kind of to note is that they refer to the Inquisitor from season 1 as the Grand Inquisitor.
I know. I mean, we'd seen in some of the news that came out of New York Comic-Con that was the Grand Inquisitor. So like he was the big bad boss. We're pretty sure. But also all of the Inquisitors seem to be somewhat similarly powered.
And the fact that he was the top dog and that now he's gone, it sounds like every Inquisitor that's around is going to be like, okay, you took out the boss. That's bad news for you.
Not just that, but like, what if there's sort of a like, who's going to be the Grand Inquisitor now?
Right.
For the competition.
Right.
Which you kind of get a sense between the fifth brother and the seventh sister.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to kill Ezra.
There's a little bit of rivalry there.
We're going to hold on to him as bait.
Well, that was the thing, was that I actually wanted to bring up. So one thing I happened to notice in the chat when the chat roll was first up, that Mr. Goku, I think it's 2012, he watches a bunch of the after shows I do here, he's wonderful, said that, likened the seventh sister to Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
You know, I could see that.
Very kind of similar, you know, and that brings up the good point too about, you know, the Grand Inquisitor, who was sort of the big bad boss. But, you know, if she is an Azula-like character, which I do think she is, that doesn't matter. She, as far as she is concerned, she is in charge. And I think we definitely saw that in her interaction with the fifth brother. And I just loved that we had the girl character taking a more tactful approach to dealing with their captive.
But at the same time, I get the sense that she's stronger than him.
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't take any
I know.
crap from somebody that could beat him up.
Totally.
So or maybe it's a numbers. No, I doubt that, because I
a numbers game.
I thought maybe like their number was their rank, but that doesn't make sense if she's the seventh.
Right, unless
sister.
it was like 10 is the best.
Sibling?
I know, that's what I'm saying. I feel like we have to. That's like when you with that prank that some people I've heard people doing, where you have like the 3 pigs and you label them 1 and 3, and so then everybody's constantly looking around for 2, even though there is no 2.
What happened?
What happened to 2? What happened to 6? Are we gonna meet 6? Who knows?
Sounds like a Jedi mind trick, right?
Yeah, totally. So she kidnaps Ezra, and then and Sabine got in a fight with the probe droids, which was fun.
Yeah, no, like this chase scene, it was very, very menacing, because, again, in true horror movie fashion, the villains are just walking.
Yes.
They don't have to run. They can take their time.
No, that is exactly what it is. It is that slow, steady, methodical movements. Like, they're not running around. They're not going crazy. They're just, like, doing what they need to do.
And they're just, like, luring them.
Yeah.
And I thought one spinning lightsaber from the Inquisitor last season was bad enough. Seeing 2 of them come at you with spinning lightsabers,
I know.
Genuinely terrifying.
Do you guys like the Inquisitors spinning lightsabers?
I love it. It's so
It's starting
cool.
to grow on me.
Yeah.
Were you not a fan?
We're now being introduced to all these different lightsabers. I'm like, okay. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no one's gonna hurt themselves or sever their own limbs, but okay.
Well, because they're swords. They're if you're looking at the original film, they're just traditional swords. And so to have one that's like a gun lightsaber, and then like one that like the double-edged lightsaber from episode 1, and then now there's a double-edged lightsaber that spins. I understand.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, there's a lot of new lightsabers for us to like process.
A lot of bells and whistles.
As long as they're like practical and actually going to be used, not just like, oh, look at this cool spinny thing. I'm going to be at a Star Wars rave, like
Star Wars rave.
The Inquisitors are just at a rave. They don't have to do anything. Just
nice. Yes. So, but anyway, both Sabine and Ezra end up being captured by the Inquisitors, and then and Zeb is off with Chopper, dealing with the fact that he can't understand what he's saying.
I did love that we did focus on Zeb this episode.
I agree.
He, as kind of like a more comic relief character, he falls onto the back burner a lot, and I don't feel like that's fair.
I don't either,
because like he's got a lot of interesting stuff going on in his backstory,
and he's got a lot that he adds to the group too. I think in terms of just I really like his character a lot, and I always like to see more from him.
Yeah, definitely. And this one, I like that he played dead.
Yeah.
To like try to come up with a plan and get them all out of
Yeah,
there.
that was great.
Yes.
Great. And I loved when he got in touch with Sabine and Ezra via the comm, and he was Commander Meiluron, which was a reference to the wild goose chase that Hera sent Zeb and Ezra on last season when they were going to get the Meluron fruit. She really just wanted them to like spend some time together and work out their differences.
Like, just get out of the house.
Yeah,
Mom needs a break.
Yeah, that was really what it was. So they so he gets in touch with them, and they initially are trying to tell him like, no, go away, it's going to be fine, and he gives them the clue to chin up.
Mm-hmm.
Up.
Yes,
yeah. Up, guys.
Yep, look up.
Look up.
Literally, because he was up in the ceiling.
and he's so cute. He's all like giving them
I know.
Hey guys. It's like, hey guys.
Yeah, it was great. It was, and it's really cool to see Zeb, who is sort of a, comic relief and brute strength kind of character, come in and be really clever.
Mm-hmm. And I like that they foreshadowed that at the very beginning too, with the
where he looks down and then hits his head.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. A lot of head hitting in this episode. Yeah. I hope they have some good sort of like regular painkillers.
They did just get medical supplies.
This is true. Yes, they do. They do in fact
very efficient.
Successfully acquire the medical supplies and make their way back to Ghost. And first of all, we come back to the Ghost, and I really enjoyed the game of space chess going on between Kanan and Rex, because they are still arguing over the discipline of Jedi versus the discipline of soldiers.
Like, let's just settle this over this game.
Yeah. Which Kanan won, and Rex is like, cool, maybe you do understand discipline, and Kanan's still not having it.
And I love that Hera's just like sitting in the back, like with her
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say it basically was like an iPad or a Kindle. Space iPad. And
I wonder if there's Force touch on that iPad.
A Force touch.
Although, it is kind of, since she's the mom of the group, it is kind of like Dad and the eccentric uncle who's come in.
It really is. Yeah, I love it. Even though I said at the beginning of the episode that it was nice to see Captain Rex not be quite as in focus, I still really like having him around, and I think he brings a lot to the show, and I'm really enjoying his presence and his interactions with Kanan. It was nice to see. It's nice to see the evolution of that relationship, because Kanan went into it being very staunch about the fact that he wanted nothing to do with clones, and now they're kind of starting to accept one another. But of course, the big issue is that we find out in the episode, not surprisingly, because Vader sensed Ahsoka's presence in Siege of Lothal, but the Inquisitors do in fact know about Ahsoka Tano.
Yes, and there's not just one Inquisitor.
Oh, no.
Which Kanan was like, I had no idea.
Yes.
There is more than one.
Yeah.
So that was scary and foreboding.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it just kind of makes you wonder, what else does Kanan
not know? Yeah. Because this is one situation where I think we, as the audience, in some ways, know a little more than our heroes do.
Yeah.
So it'll be really, really. I wonder if there are more Inquisitors.
I know, but exactly. Also, like, you have the seventh sister had that moment with Ezra, which we forgot to talk about, where she tells him, like, you have really great potential. Like, your master isn't done. He didn't finish his training, but I could train you.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're kind of cute.
I know. She called him pretty. He is awfully pretty.
We should probably bring up, there was a theory. Dylan was definitely adamant about this theory last season before we found out who she was.
Right.
That the seventh sister was actually the friend of Ahsoka's that had set her up to take the fall for that.
Yes!
So there were a lot of theories about that, but the tattoos don't seem to match.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to match up, but
that doesn't mean that they don't know each other.
Yeah.
In some way.
That is so interesting. I love that. I agree with you. I don't think it quite matches up, but still, I like it.
Or even how in season 1 there was that episode at the Trooper Academy where all the Force-sensitive kids were being taken to the Grand Inquisitor. So are all these like Force-sensitive characters now trained to become Inquisitors? Is there like a whole army? Is that where that one character's sister is?
Yeah, is this his sister?
Right? Oh, maybe it is his sister. Oh, so many theories. But unfortunately, we need to start wrapping things up here. So any final thoughts on this episode before we sign off?
We do have 2 iTunes comments.
Oh, yay!
Let me pull them up real quick.
Awesome.
We got Just Discovered the Podcast and It's Awesome by Eric_Santiago. He wrote this they both wrote big long things. So you guys, but they gave us 5-star ratings and that was great.
Yay.
And then Sniper Shot 20, Star Wars plus geeking equals win, also a 5-star rating. You guys are so nice.
Thank you so much, guys. Yes, and Sabina. Sabina. I was like, Sabina?
Yes.
Sabine?
Yes.
No, it's crazy. Where can we find more from you? You're going to be at Kamikaze this weekend, yes?
Kamikaze, the Legion of Leia table, as well as the panel on Saturday at 2 p.m. And you can also just find me on Twitter at Wicked_Phoenix. I write for a whole bunch of movie sites, and I love geeking out about Disney and Marvel and Star Wars and horror. It's all my jam.
Megan, what about you?
I think I found a friend.
I know. I feel like you guys are the same person.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Katie actually also wrote on the hashtag, it was good to see Zeb getting some attention and plot, given that he spent the last few episodes as bait.
That is true.
Agreed.
Accurate.
I really like the Jaws reference.
A lot of good stuff. But for you guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I'm really excited about Ash versus the Evil Dead on Sunday. And I also write articles for the Movie Chick with 2Ks. Be sure to check those out. I just put up a really great interview with Mitchell Whitfield. Be sure to read that. He's a ton of fun.
And I'm Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over social media at Emma Fyffe. I do a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm also really excited about Ash vs. the Evil Dead. It is going to be awesome. As I said, Megan and I did the red carpet for that last night. It was super cool. Guys, be sure to also follow AfterBuzz TV on Twitter. Check out all of our other after shows. If you like a TV show, we probably have an after show for it, so you should totally check that out. Remember, you can keep talking to us throughout the week using that hashtag ABTVRebels. Also, we will be back at our regular time next week, so be sure to tune in on the regular Wednesday 8:30 time slot. We'll all be here. We'll see you all then. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see y'all again soon.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.